Hey there, friends. Welcome to my channel. I'm Cerise, and this is story time. And this story time, the girlfriend gets busted. And you know what? I can't blame the dude, but I can say this. He was a genius in the way that he caught her. Let's get to the story, everyone. Before we do, please hit that subscribe button. Take a chance on me. I upload all types of random videos. And guess what? If you like this video at the very end, please go ahead and hit that like button. All right, I'm going to make my coffee now. You guys get comfortable and get ready because we are going to get this story together right now. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, we have two main characters in this story. We have Ruben and we have. Now, Ruby, she is Canadian, and Ruben, he is originally from Haiti. He moved to America, and then he came to the Dominican Republic for a visit. When he came here, Ruby was already living here. She came here with a church group. Let's just keep it at that because you know I like to be confidential. So she came with a church group, but once she got here, she left the church group and she started to find her own friends. She started to go to a lot of the clubs and a lot of the bars. Well, recently, with the world being the way it is, she was locked in for a while. So she had to leave Sosua and she went to Las Terrenas. Now, Las Terrenas is not here by Sosua in the North Coast, but it is in the Dominican Republic. And she went there because she reconnected with her church group. Now, she went online and she started to do some dating. Now, Ruben, he really loves the Dominican Republic, and when the world became the way it was, he decided he was going to move here. So he met her online. Ruby and Ruben met online. Now, when he got here, he told her that, he would like to go to Las Terrenas to meet her, but he said he was more interested in coming to Sosua because he wanted to purchase a business and also an Airbnb so he could rent the places out. He was in contact with me and this is what he wanted to do. So he asked her, do you think you could come to Sosua, meet me here, and then after that we can take off to Las Terrenas and to your place? And she was like, oh, no, don't worry about it. The way of the world is now calming down and Sosua is starting to open back up and most of her church friends are gone back to Canada. So she said she would just come here to Sosua and meet him here and stay with him here. So that's what they did. And they hit it off. Immediately they hit it off. But then Ruben had to go back home. Because Ruben had to make a choice. Was he going to stay here in Sosua or was he going to go back to America? And he made the choice to stay here in Sosua. So he had to go back to America and close a few things up. Get rid of his house. And like a lot of you guys are doing right now. You're selling off some of your property. You're closing some deals. And, you are doing things legitimately so you can get back here. Ruben was the perfect example of a man that was going to be changing his life. Ruby, on the other hand, was not the church-going woman that he thought she was. She was more of, let's not put her down, but she liked the young men and the young sanky-panky men. She couldn't stay away from them. Now, he noticed when he was here that she knew a lot of the young men. The young men, for those of you who don't know, they have a name. The ones that hang around the beach, they're called sanky-panky, and that pretty much is just a little fancy word for a gigolo. She was very much attracted to the gigolos. And a lot of you women are. And I would suggest that you find yourself someone more mature and on your level, because a lot of the times these Sankey Pankies and gold diggers, like the rest of them from around the world, are not looking for long term relationships. And they're definitely not looking to settle down with a woman that is more mature and, you know, pretty much almost their mother. Yes, they do find favor in the woman, and she's convenient for him, pretty much. She'll give him money to go out to the bars. She may even buy him something like clothing, shoes, all that stuff. But Ruby, she ran out of her money. So a lot of those Sankey Pankies that she had from back in the day before the world changed, they had no use for her. But she was still flirting with them, and they were flirting with her. Now, she wasn't going home with any of them at all. She was chilling with them when Reuben was not around, but only talking to them on the beach. When Reuben would get back from like the gym, or when he would get back from hanging with the guys, she was right with him and always loyal. But when Reuben went back to the United States, that's when things got shady. Now, this is what happened. She got herself a new phone number because she didn't want Reuben seeing that she was always on WhatsApp. He would say things to her like, "Oh, I saw that the last time you were on WhatsApp was like 2 o'clock in the morning. What were you doing up that late, sweetheart?" And she felt bad because she was up talking to the Sankey Pankies. When he was in America, she stayed in his villa. You see, when he got here, he rented out a villa, and it had its private pool and everything. And he left her in that villa while he went back to America, thinking that he could trust her, and he couldn't. She was taking in Sankey Pankies, having parties, drinking and everything, having a good old time with those young boys as Reuben was in the States. Now, of course, some of you women may be rolling your eyes and saying, "What a foolish girl. She had a chance to have a really good man, and she was just ruining it." Reuben, a handsome guy and a businessman, speaks 4 languages: Creole, French, English, and Spanish, and he is an entrepreneur, has his own money, and doesn't need a woman for anything. And here is Ruby with these guys that had nothing for her except using her for her time. Why she was doing this to Reuben, I think, is just a part of her own lack of control. So Reuben got back here to the Dominican Republic, and he didn't realize that she had another phone number. Now, in her cell phone itself, she could put 2 SIM cards. 2 cards that were registered phone numbers, and she could use them simultaneously in one phone. Some of you guys have phones like that. You know what I'm talking about. So that's what she was doing. And Reuben didn't know. It's not like she had a second cell phone. She just had a second number. He didn't know until one day her phone fell. And when it fell, it opened up. And when it opened up, 2 SIM cards fell out. And he looked at her and he said, "Oh, I didn't know you had 2 phone numbers." And she said, "Oh, no, one's an old SIM card and it doesn't even work." And he was like, "Oh, okay." Now, of course, he didn't believe that. But he thought he would give her the benefit of the doubt, thinking, she's an honest church-going girl. So he started to notice that she was on her phone a lot. He went on his phone to see if she was on WhatsApp, because what he would do is he would go on WhatsApp and he would see if her WhatsApp said online, and it didn't. But he could walk by her and clearly see that she was talking on WhatsApp. So he started to think, okay, you know what, that other SIM card that she has is active and she lied. But because he had a lot of pride And he still does. And, he loves himself. He wasn't going to fight with her and get angry and insecure. He was going to be patient and catch her in the act. And so he did. One day she was sleeping, and she was a hardcore sleeper. And her cell phone did not have a code. So it's not like she would put in the code and then, he saw the code. No, it took a fingerprint to open up her phone. So he could never get into it. But one day when she was sleeping, he took her hand and he pressed her finger on the cell phone, and it opened up. And he got inside that cell phone. And what he saw had nothing to do with God. It was the devil's playground. And he was like, OMG. Photos of herself that she was sending, not to only one man, to many men. And then he went into the phone and he looked at the men that she was sending photos to. And these guys were guys that he saw on the beach. How many times talking to her, giving her high fives, saying hi. And these are some of the guys that he would see her also sitting with, having a drink with while he was at the gym. So he was like, what? And this really annoyed him. So he confronted her on it. He woke her up. Like, he put her phone back down and pretended like he didn't get into it. And he woke her up and he said, Ruby, my auntie, she is a Haitian voodoo woman. This is a lie. He was lying. He doesn't have an auntie that does any of that. But he lied to her just to scare her because, there's those old rumors of the voodoo and everything, So he said to her, my auntie did a reading and she found out that you are talking to many men. Ruby said, your auntie is a liar. I don't know what your auntie is talking about. And he said, come on, sweetheart, you don't have to lie to me. I know that you are talking to these other men. My auntie is very intuitive. And she said, oh, your auntie is evil. She just wants to break us up. Your auntie wants to see you with a Haitian woman, blah, blah, blah. And he said, no. And he said, my auntie gave me a list of some of the men and what they look like. And Ruby was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So he said, okay, when we're on the beach, I'm going to show you some of the men that my auntie said could be the men that you're with. And she's like, oh, your auntie doesn't even live here. Where does your auntie live? And he's like, in Haiti. But my auntie can see what's going on. She has that third eye of intuition. And Ruby was like, whatever. And so they were on the beach. And he looked at Ruby and he said, there's one of the guys. You had sex with him. Ruby said, what? What are you talking about? And it was one of the guys. And Ruby said, I don't know what you're saying. Oh my gosh, like you're lying. And so the next guy, he showed Ruby and he said, there's another one. And then he showed Ruby the third one. And Ruby was shocked. She stopped denying it. And she said, can we talk, please? I just want to talk to you. I'm sorry. We need to talk. And he said to her, no, Ruby. I am a man with confidence. I am a man that worked very hard for my lifestyle. And I was looking for a woman that doesn't necessarily need to have everything that I have. You don't need to match me financially. You don't need to match me intellectually. But to match my heart and the love that I give to you is important and imperative to me and what I want in a woman. So, I'm going to leave you on this beach right here. As we speak right now, the maid is moving out all your stuff out of the villa, and she is moving it into Los Chatomicos in the hotels. Now here where I live in Los Chatomicos in the north coast of the Dominican Republic, in a town called Sosua, There is a hotel place where people can get a hotel at less than $20 a night. Now, you're not going to get anything lavish, and as a matter of fact, most people would not even want to stay there, but it's available for people who are on a budget. And remember, Ruby didn't have 2 pennies to shake together. So, or 2 pesos, should I say. So he made sure that he paid for her for an entire 3 months so she could get herself on her feet. He also went to a few of the restaurants that his friends know about here, and he spoke to a few people, and he said, you think you can give this woman a job? And he was able to get her a job, and he said to her, you have a job, you have a place to live, and you're going to be fine. Leave me alone. When you see me on the beach, don't come up to me. When you see me in the streets, don't even say hello to me. You have no dignity. You have no self-respect. And I am not interested in you any longer. And she looked at him and she said, where are the keys for the hotel? And he said, right here. He gave her the keys for the hotel room, and he told her that she's free to leave. And she said, well, she asked him for a couple of bucks. She said, could she have some money because she's going to need food? And he said, no. And he gave her the name of the restaurant that he got her the job at. And he told her, go to that restaurant. They're going to give you, she was to start the very next day. And they're going to give her a free meal every day. And she was going to be working. Guess how much she was getting paid a day? $6 a day. Yes. And she couldn't say no to it because she had no money. And she couldn't say no to it because she couldn't leave the country. She knew she wasn't able to fly back. He wasn't going to give her money for a flight. And not only that, she didn't have anyone in Canada looking forward to seeing her. She burned a lot of her bridges. So now here she is. She asked him if he could please pay for her way to go back to Las Terrenas, where she was making more money. And he told her no. She's going to have to find her own way back to where she came from. And that was it. I think she's pretty fortunate that he paid for her for 3 months straight. And I think she's pretty fortunate that he also was looking out for her and making sure she had a job, right? All that, I guess he was more surprised at what he saw in her cell phone. And not only that, quite hurt. I mean, let's face it. When you go back to your country to sell everything off, and then you come back to the Dominican Republic to be with the woman that you thought was going to be with you for the rest of your life, and this is what she does, this is what you find in her cell phone. You thought she was a good Christian church woman. Wow, your mind is blown, your heart is shattered, and your life, what you were planning, has now come to a standstill. I think he handled the situation pretty good. And Ruby, she didn't even shed a tear. So, I'm wondering what you guys have to say down below. What do you guys got to say about Ruby? I have my own little opinion about her. And, hey, it is what it is. I don't judge. We all are here in Sosua living our own best lives as best as we can. But when you're hurting other people and breaking their heart and making them feel less than they are when they're trying to make you feel better than who you are, I think that is a problem. And I know now that Ruby most likely feels pretty foolish for what she has done to Ruben. Ruben, on the other hand, he has met a new woman, another Canadian woman, by the way, who has been living here for a very long time. She lives in Cabarete. She's doing very well for herself. Her family is originally from Jamaica, and here she's working online. She is Ruben's age, and they are already in a serious relationship and enjoying each other very much. So, there we go. Things happen, right? Stuff happens. And then you just gotta kind of suck it up, buttercup, take a licking, and keep on ticking. And that's what Ruben did. Prayers for Ruben and for his new girlfriend. And I'm so happy that he was able to get past that situation as quickly and cleanly as he did. Well, guys, let me know what you think in your comments down below. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Cerise, and if you can take a moment to subscribe, I would appreciate that very much. If you have a story, give me a shout. Take care, everyone. Huge hugs, loads of love, big blesses.